This is 180 here on Sky News. Plenty of people texting about everything we have discussed, at least thus far in the show. Stephen has sent one in here saying that Peru, under the American healthcare system, there's a whole lot more waiting and it costs an awful lot more. That's as opposed to the Australian system, where obviously it's all nice and free. There is a conversation about what we discussed at the start of the show, which was a South Australian judge who turned around and said that somebody technically raped somebody simply because they had fallen asleep but had the intent of having sex with somebody else. And the simple quote here from Greg tells us that she wasn't awake to consent, ergo it is rape. Case closed. Fair enough. 0409 180 140. Now, one of the other big ones of this week has been over-the-top parents at footy matches. You would have seen this bloke on A Current Affair. Now, he either started or was in the middle of what was a pretty awful brawl.
I received a massive blow to the side, and then immediately after another blow to this side. It shocks me. It does disturb me. It doesn't surprise me with society today.
That poor bloke's eyes. Now, there is conjecture about exactly what his involvement was in the fight. This was an under-12s footy game, and it just got out of control. Now, Dan, you spend an awful lot of time around rugby league. You're calling it beautifully on Triple M at the moment. The discussions that have gone on this week have been everything from banning parents, banning kids. What do you think the solution is to way over the top?
Well, first of all, this has been coming for years because, in fact, we spoke about it last year on Triple M for a long, long period that this sort of thing was coming because parents, I don't know what it is about a football game and kids footy that turns parents feral. But there's three possible solutions. You ban the parents, you ban the kid, or you bring in security guards. That's unfeasible because that would cost too much. So can you ban a parent? Can you ban someone from a public place? You can't really. You can't stop a parent or anyone from walking down to the local park and just sit there watching a football game. So the only solution to me is to ban the child. Now, it's a horrible thing for the child, but obviously someone's got to pay the price for these parents, and these parents have got to be stopped somehow.
Might make them think twice.
So that is what I do. I would ban the child involved if the parent is unruly. Give them a warning first. One warning and then
I
out you go.
agree with you, 100%. I think it's the only way. And I mean, these people are fanatics. They're unreasonable. I see them at football games often, you know, kids' football games, and they're yelling and screaming. It's not barracking in a healthy way. It's obscene.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I agree with you, but the thing that worries me about what we saw there, you alluded to it, Paul, there's some conjecture about that fellow's role in this, and there are others involved who've now said that he started it. So he says he was descended on by those people who beat him up. Other people have told Channel 7 that no, it was him. So you've got the bottom line. The people involved in this brawl who've embarrassed their kids and made themselves collectively look like complete morons, instead of sitting back and going, haven't we set a horrible example for our kids that are going to grow up like us? Instead, they're sitting around trying to think, no, it was their fault. They did it to us. They've learned nothing.
Absolutely.
The people involved.
And it's not just parents fighting with other parents. I went and watched a mate, he coaches a under-15s team a couple of years ago. And the referee is a young kid about the same age, about 16 or 17, and the parents were abusing the hell out of this kid.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking, firstly, how horrible is that? And then I think, well, why would anyone want to be a referee?
Absolutely.
When that's the crap they've got to sit through from these feral parents who live their life through their kids.
Yeah.
It's awful.
But they also don't understand that yelling at your kid, abusing, that's not going to get them noticed by a scout. Being a good player is what's going to get them noticed by a scout. How much of a carry-on you show at halftime when the oranges are being handed out doesn't help anyone.
Do you think we need an advertising campaign, some sort of government-funded advertising campaign? Isn't there one already?
There is, but I reckon step it up and step it up hard. Yeah. But I also, to be honest, I actually don't think that it's as unfeasible as you say about security guards. I mean, if there is an ongoing problem,
too many.
I reckon there's not. I reckon with the amount of money that kids pay in Rego to play soccer and footy if there's a consistent problem, then you've got to charge everyone else an extra $5.
Yeah. So the good parents suffer.
Well, but they already are, because their kids are going to have to go up against these other feral kids, or then themselves go up against these other parents.
How much does a security guard cost? About $100 an hour?
No, absolutely. But I'm saying I think it's an idea for the worst of the worst before we get to the cops having to be there.
I still think that's all Band-Aid. You've got to find some way to get these people to... If you kick them out and ban them and they go away from the football, they're going to be still abusing their kids at home. There's something wrong with these people.
Give people an IQ test before they're allowed to have kids, or otherwise sterilise them, I think.
It's only fair. fair.
All right. Well, all right.
According to Prue. What do you think? 0409 180 140. There's a lot of people who got rather annoyed today that Australia Post is going to put up the cost of a stamp. Now, it is very obvious, it is very easy to turn around and say that, look, any sort of push-up in charges is going to make people who have the arse out of their strides work a whole lot harder to pay the bills. But it is pretty extraordinary that you can take a piece of paper, put it into an envelope, and for 45 cents, it can go to Perth within a couple of days.
Now.
It's pretty impressive that we have this system that works fairly well, but we seem to go completely crazy when, you know, a pair of jeans will cost you, you know, $100. But we can seem still that it's completely unremarkable you can send a letter.
I was thinking about this. It's a 5-stage process. When you put your letter in the letterbox, someone's got to collect that in a truck. You know, the truck's got to be maintained, petrol's got to be paid, you know, the bloke's got to be paid. He then takes it to a sorting centre. That costs money to operate. Then the mail gets sent to the appropriate post office where it gets sorted again.
Absolutely.
People have got to be paid. And then someone's got to deliver it. I'm forgetting a stage in there somewhere. But that's pretty bloody good service for 55 cents.
It's cheaper than a packet of twisties
I
that
think
people
it's
blow up
quite
about.
reasonable. I think people are stupid if they. In fact, I think they did some stats, and it's not really increased that much over the years, really at all. More and more people, of course, are sending emails. So I think that what they're probably finding is that they're not, you know, getting as much of a market going. The thing that worries me is that they apparently are also going to do a further slug on business. And as a small business person, I just think, you know, we're slugged so much already. That's the only thing that concerns me. I'm not sure what the figures are.
They must look at email and think, how have we allowed this to start without charging for it?
Yeah,
And
correct.
It's all free.
At the other end of the charging thing, of course, is Telstra, who have decided that they're now going to charge people extra who want to pay their bills in person. Now, look, I understand that basically most people under the age of 40 have at least tried to pay for something over the internet or at the very least BPay. But why Nana and Papa have to pay extra for just shuffling up to the shops and paying their $6 phone bill already just seems ridiculous. This is a company that already made $1 billion, that has endless PR troubles. Why would you introduce this charge apart from because we can, Dan?
Are we sponsored? Is Telstra associated with
Everyone's connected with everyone. Just assume that.
Okay, I'm still going to say this anyway. What pisses me off is the defence of, well, everyone else is doing it.
Yeah,
Optus
absolutely.
does it, Vodafone does it, so we'll do it too. What sort of justification is that?
Absolutely.
So there you go.
I'm with you.
Am I
Guys,
going
what
to
do
get
you
sacked
think?
now?
No, probably. We'll all go.
They've excluded pensioners and people who disability card holders from this, and to be honest, I'm not that fussed about it because I hate going and paying anything at the counter. And as soon as I was able to pay my bills over the phone, I did. And I did establish that, you know, if you don't want to use the computer, with this you can still pay your bill over the telephone. And if you're a Telstra customer, you can have a phone. Now, so the cost of paying your bill would be the cost of that local call. It should be free. But I think they're using price signals to try and get people to stop going and paying over the counter. And I reckon I just think it's a better way of doing things. If you go, it's a pain having to walk up and pay a bill. I hate cheques. I loathe
Yeah, but you
cheques.
can use a
Checks are
computer,
a
John.
punish.
My mum and dad don't really
But
use
they can do
computers.
it over the phone. They can get on the phone
Then
and do
they've
it.
got to say, press what? You wait for half an hour to get some voice.
BPay's pretty good though. If you haven't used
BPay
BPay,
works
BPay's
okay.
pretty easy.
But I think that,
At least for me, with my big digity hands, I can do
what
that.
they've got to do, they've got to help older people,
Yeah.
get them used to it, give them some assistance, and remembering that pensioners and people with disabilities who might have trouble, that they are excluded and they've got some flexibility here. I don't have that much of a problem with it.
Yeah. Look,
and
and
of
just
course, cash
before
for
we-
comment, I've just received it in the kit.
Yeah, nice work. Ding a ding a
Thank
ding.
you very
All right,
much.
well played. Now, look, before we quickly get to our winners and losers, Sabine sent a really interesting text message here, particularly about the role of the media and showing the images of, in particular, the wife of the Perth man who died in the Jakarta bombings, saying that was some of the most moving stuff that she saw across the entire week. And she thinks that for that reason alone, we should have seen it. So, Sabine, thanks so much for watching. Okay, guys, let us wrap it up simply with winners and losers of the week. It's pretty easy to say my loser's going to be the Australian cricket team at the moment, Dan.
Oh, yeah, no, they're struggling. Didn't even think of them, to be honest. But the Wags have gone home.
Right.
So now we can focus. They've got 3
thank
tests
goodness.
on their own without any distractions. Hopefully Mitchell Johnson's mum shuts up and we can get on with
And the
business.
papers might have to actually write about the cricket for a
Oh,
change.
come on, let's not get too far. Greg Norman, my loser of the week. How can you blame your ex-wife because you didn't win majors and you're a choker?
Correct.
What about Jamie Neal's dad, of course, losing out on the dough?
Joe?
Probably my loser of the week is Tony Abbott, who wrote a column in the Australian today, stirring up more trouble for the coalition. And as a result of writing the column, he fielded all these requests for interviews, and then had to say, "I've actually signed a deal not to talk to anyone in the 2 weeks leading up to the release of my book," which made him look like a complete idiot.
Only the libs.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Not even time for winners of the week this week, which I will simply declare as the three of you: John Stanley, Prue McSween,
thank
Dan
you very
G'day.
much
Isn't
for
that
that.
just so lovely? I'm Paul Murray. See you at 9:15 next Friday night. Have a great weekend.